entonces...
The man in the black slouch hat rose from his rather cramped position behind the counter, laden with boxing gloves near the stairhead, and made his way with considerable speed and stealth towards Geoffrey. He carried a blackjack and had the intent expression of one trying to trap a mosquito. The pink young assistant, however, did not stay away as long as he had hoped. Emerging from the office, he took in the situation without apparent surprise, and acting with commendable presence of mind, put the butterfly net over the assailant's head and pulled. The blackjack described an arc through the air and knocked over a pile of roller skates with a horrifying crash. Geoffrey spun around just in time to see his would-be attacker overbalance backwards and collapse into the middle of a vast medley of sports equipment which stood in the middle of the floor. It expressed its unsymmetrical character by general dissolution. A number of footballs were precipitated to the top of the stairs, down which they careered with increasing momentum to the department below. The enemy freed himself, cursing noisily from the butterfly net, got to his feet, and made for the stairs. The pink young man gave him a resounding crack on the back of the head with one end of a ski, and he fell down again. Geoffrey struggled with his revolver, which had become inextricably intervolved with the lining of his pocket. Battle was at once engaged. The enemy, who was showing remarkable powers of recovery, opened a frontal attack on Geoffrey. The pink young man threw a cricket ball at him, but it missed and hit Geoffrey instead. Geoffrey fell over and upset a heap of ice skates, over which the assailant in his turn fell. The pink young man tried to put the net over his head again, but missed his aim and overbalanced. The enemy regained his feet and threw an ice skate at Geoffrey, which caught him a windy blow in the stomach as he was still endeavoring to get out his revolver. The pink young man, recovering his balance, smote the enemy with a cricket stump. The enemy subsided, and the pink young man banged inexpertly at his head with a hockey stick until he became silent. Geoffrey at last succeeded in getting out his revolver, and to the accompaniment of an ominous tearing of cloth, and waved it wildly about him. "Be careful with that," said the pink young man. Geoffrey and the pink young man ran for the stairs. On the way down they met a shopwalker and two assistants pounding grimly upwards. "There's a lunatic up there trying to break up the stock," said the young man with a sudden blood-curdling intensity which, by contrast with his normal tones, sounded horrifyingly convincing. "Go and see what you can do. I'm off to fetch the police." The shopwalker grabbed Geoffrey's gun, which he was still brandishing, and leapt on upwards. Geoffrey engaged in feeble protests. "Don't hang about," said the young man, tugging at his sleeve. They continued their precipitate downward rush to the street. And thus... "What happened?" "Malicious intent," said the other. I'm afraid this butterfly net's no good now. Torn to bits. You better take another." He went over and got one. 17 6, I think we said. Mechanically, Geoffrey produced the money. A roar of mingled rage and stupefaction from below indicated that the footballs had arrived at their destination. "Fielding!" a voice boomed up at them. "What the devil are you doing up there?" "I think," said the young man pensively, "that it would be better if we left at once." "But your job?" Geoffrey gazed at him helplessly. "I've probably lost it anyway. Thanks to this. Something of this sort always seems to happen to me. The last play I was at, one of the assistants went mad and took off all her clothes. And thus began Holy Disorders by Edmund Crispin, where a middle-aged, finicky bachelor who happens to compose cathedral music for the organ, by name of Geoffrey Vintner, was invited by our friend, Detective Gervais Fenn, to come and sort out what's going on in Tollbridge. "I am at Tollbridge, staying at the clergy house. Priest. The place is black with them. Come and play the cathedral services. All the organists have been shot up. Dismal business. The music wasn't as bad as all that. Either you'd better come at once. Bring me a butterfly net. I need one. Wire back, coming, not coming. Prepare for a long stay. Gervais Fenn." Apparently, someone didn't want him to make it to Tonbridge. But yes, black and evil deeds were going on in the church. That's why all the organists were shut up, even though the music wasn't all that bad. Really. This sort of madcap mayhem can also be seen in his previous book, The Moving Toy Shop, where a poet, all of 37 years old, wants to tell you all about how he's feeling somewhat upset. I've told you, Irwin, that must not be mentioned again. I can't lecture in any case. Cadogan began to stride up and down the lawn. Mr. Spode noticed sadly that a small, bald patch was beginning to show in his close-cropped dark hair. I have no wish to lecture. I decline to lecture. It's not America I want. It's Poissemy or Logres, I repeat. I am getting old and stale. I act with calculation. I take heed for the morrow. This morning I caught myself paying a bill as soon as it came in. This must all be stopped. In another age, I would have devoured the living hearts of children to bring back my lost youth. As it is, he stopped by Mr. Spode and slapped him on the back with such enthusiasm that the unfortunate man nearly fell over. I shall go to Oxford. Which, naturally, he does. And then the moving toy shop gives him far more adventure than he had planned for, until he begins to hanker for his old, quiet life, where he pays bills as soon as they come in. All of 37 years old. But as I recall, the moving toy shop also has a devilish scene or two. One of them involves nude bathing. Another one involves two thugs imported from London named Scylla and Charybdis by the people they were chasing. They didn't really care what their names were. And then they come across this woman. So, which I find rather interesting, something here he says. Oh dear. Now, where did it get to? Okay, so You can't make me. No, in that case, we'll go along to the police. They'll make you all right. I've got my rights. Gervais says something very interesting here. A criminal has no rights in any sane society. Do you think that after your filthy little conspiracy to murder a deaf, helpless woman, anyone is going to trouble himself about your rights? You'll do better to keep out of the way and not put them to the test. We didn't mean to murder her. One of you did. It wasn't me, I tell you. I'll be the judge of that. Talk more quietly if you don't want the whole world to know about it. You won't get me into trouble, will you? I didn't mean any harm. We were going to hurt her. Feeble. But he did say something a little cogent. We all feel a little vengeful when people go running around murdering deaf, helpless old ladies. It's a ridiculous thing to do. But you do see my point. You get some very, very exciting, interesting, and overwhelming language. and purely cinematic scenes that you make in your mind when you read these things. Very, very good. It's well worth investing a little time and money in collecting these classic old penguins of crime, classic crime, to get a hold of Edmund Crispin. He writes quite a few books starring Gervais Fenn and his rather wicked little sports car. And I really think that you'll find them not only illuminating, but very, very funny. Paying a bill as soon as it came in. Oh my God, I'm getting old. Well, something different for you this time. Thank you for watching, and please do come again.
Si bon de partir n'importe où, bras dessus, bras dessous, en chantant des chansons. C'est si bon de se dire des mots doux, de petits riens du tout.